I just want to say to everybody, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate all your follows, all of your subscriptions, all of your super chats, all of your wonderful things. We're here both on YouTube and Twitch. And even those of you who are over on YouTube, I will try to collect your questions if you do have them, and I will try to enter them into the parser. I hope that you are all doing well this fine night. I hope you're all just as excited for the Q&A, but also all this wonderful stuff coming along in this new patch. Without further ado, I would like to get rolling off. Aporia, Kata, do you guys have anything you would like to say? Take the stage, or we can jump right into questions.
I prefer just to move into questions.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, let's hop into the questions. I think that'd be good.
Okay. First question. When Solo SelfFound launches, will you be able to swap classes like normal? Also, can you expand the class theory crafting section on Discord? Maybe add Solo SelfFound and or others?
We have...
That's a good question.
I think the current design doc says that self-found characters and solo characters are not restricted for class respec, but hardcore cannot respec.
Okay.
And I think that's correct for now. We may change that between now and season 1, but that's how it's going to launch.
Fair enough. And the portion about expanding on the class theory crafting section to allow like a special section just for like hardcore SelfFound.
Sure. We probably need to figure out a better solution for class theory crafting in general due to some intrinsic limitations of Discord. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet.
Yeah, we actually have so many people in Discord that are active that we are finding Discord's hard limits on how many people can participate in a single thread. So we're trying to get creative with what the answer to that looks like, but we haven't come up with anything yet.
So GeoCities forums, when?
I mean, that's not, GeoCity is not exactly, but like having an external forum has been on the table.
Yeah, Angel Fire, I understand.
Yep.
SJCell asks, my Paladin Monk Warrior has heroic strength of 252. I can barely handle 4 of 4 Saru and get destroyed by Zeb. Best I've done is getting him to 80%. Should I expect to still be able to do 4 of 4 Saru? My Warrior Monk Berserker has a 242 heroic strength and can only handle 3 of 4th Saru. Will he still be able to do that?
So this is a hyper specific question.
Yeah.
Number one, I don't know what your kit looks like. I don't know what your loadout looks like. I don't know your play style, what you do, what you don't do. I have no point of reference. What I can say is you get to have the joy of figuring that out for yourself in approximately 3 hours. And I can say this, if something doesn't feel good after the patch, as always, we will address it. So yeah, unfortunately, there's no way for me to give you an answer to that, but we've spent a lot of time with a lot of hands and a lot of data, making sure that the changes that we're making are correct. So hopefully it lands well for you.
Yeah, I think that there's more in play there than just heroic strength. I think that's one factor of a much larger equation, and yeah, there's just no way to answer that question.
Yep. Is there a resource I could use for the info given on the pet health info screen? I am trying to include that into a custom UI element.
DM me. Like, unironically DM me. I am interested in talking to anyone who wants to work on custom UIs.
Steel yourself. We are building an
And
army.
on that note, shout out to Xandera and their work on helping us coming up with the custom UI.
Hell yeah. I like to hear that.
A wise decision.
Why does the proposed character grouping screen at character select look like old school Windows group permissions dialog box? Asks Needon.
Form follows, or function follows form, and definitely has nothing to do with the almost 10 years I spent as a systems administrator.
Wampum42 says, can we get the plat cost to change levels removed? I would love to go back explore random zones, but still be able to make progress farming high level without paying tons of plat.
You know, removing the plat cost from going back, but keeping it on moving forward might make sense.
We can offline that conversation, although I do think that said questioner will have a kick out of Dungeon Finder.
Yeah, there you go. True. Have we come up with a better name or a new name for Dungeon Finder yet?
I wrote down Dungeoneer, but I haven't talked about this with Kata. We gotta get a name for it.
Can I throw something out there since you have a little bit of time between now and then?
Sure.
Put a community vote or some kind of community event attached to it and allow the community to have input on the overall name.
I look forward to Dungeon McDungeon Face.
It's Mick Dungeon Face to you. I'm sorry.
What we can do is we can accept suggestions, and then we'll comb through a list, and maybe we'll let people vote on the top 5 or something like that.
There you go. I also look forward to Maris's Fun Dungeon. Ranks Hee asked, would you ever consider allowing the Bard single target and or AoE dot song to apply Necromancer Cascade, Druid Bees, and the Shaman variant? I've been playing a dot focus build and just no.
No, I was going to say, I'm not opposed.
Well, there's a couple things there, right? Currently it's limited to target of target, yeah? Or target?
No, it just doesn't trigger off songs. That's the only thing that's limiting it. Because it's a focus effect, and songs generally don't get focus effects.
I think that might be a good compromise, because what we were talking about, Bard's AoE songs, or AoE dots specifically, being kind of useless with DDD, that might be a really cool thing to give them. That would be flavorful and meaningful.
I'm actually super okay with that, and I think that we should explore that in the next round of balance passes.
Okay, someone make a suggestion, and we'll review that.
Or a dev ask, or a post in the balance forum, whatever.
Yes, one of the 5,000 things that we have to check every day.
Way to go, and shout out to Ranks Hee, one of the newer members of the stream team.
Ranks Hee.
That's totally what it is, too. Lirin1 says, for Dungeon Finder, why not just call them journeys? It follows the theme.
Wow.
I actually don't hate that.
I don't hate that either. And it's a little upsetting to me that was just so on the nose. Yeah. Well.
God. No.
I think it needs a little bit more iteration than just journeys, but I think
sure, but that's pretty funny. That's like someone in the group and you're having a conversation and you're having this really high level, well, maybe this, then this, and why not journeys? And you're like, oh, well, okay.
Twisted Trickster says, you're all doing great. Not sure if it has been covered before, but does Glamour do anything else besides making it look pretty?
Nope.
It makes you look really pretty.
Question from Discord. Question about Bane Damage. I'm loath to ask another AH. Man, we need to... Maybe I need to put these through AI sometime before some of these are asked.
I think he's asking if we can add AAs to give Bane damage, innate Bane damage.
Combinations and requirements, Bane damage weapons, mainly Shazar, is really annoying. I don't really add complexity to the fight, just tedium.
So Bane Damage is a real interesting one. It's kind of like a half completed vanilla mechanic that never really got revisited, and I don't know how I feel about it, but I think that there might be some room to like.
I think we've actually talked about this. I think we've talked about this on a Q&A before. Basically, the title system that we have implemented is already tracking kills.
Yeah, do we want to do we want to like basically add Bane Damage as part of that system?
Honestly, I think that would be the way to go. I think that would be
Like,
both flavorful and meaningful.
So like when you get a Slayer, like a Hunter title or a Slayer title or whatever, you just like get Bane Damage. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Let's put that on the burner at some you know.
I like it. I like it.
These are some great questions and suggestions tonight, guys. Well done.
Yeah, dude, I was reading through a bunch of them, and I'm really blown away at how many new, like totally new questions there are. With hardcore, do you still get to play normal, like trade with everyone, or is it like solo SelfFound and SelfFound where you have to go to a certain vendors and stuff like that?
Sure. So with hardcore is going to have their own economy. So hardcore can trade with other hardcore players.
Oh, interesting. Will just a follow up to that. Will a hardcore player that's reached, say, Plane of Time and is farming time gear be able to hand that gear down to a level 1 hardcore character?
Yes.
There's nothing preventing that, and I don't think we will.
Yep.
In fact, the hardcore should have their own shared bank that's separate from like the normal account shared bank, so you can stash gear in your shared bank that you don't want to lose if the character dies.
Oh wow!
Assuming you're not a SelfFound hardcore character in it.
Yeah. That's interesting. Rel Kozin asks, at one point in WoW, the devs shared a list of the top 10 mobs that killed the most player characters. Will you be able to gather this type of data for THJ when hardcore is live? And to follow this question up, I'd love to hear which mobs you all think will be the most lethal to THJ hardcore players.
1 second, I'm adding that to the to-do list.
Awesome. Yeah, that's again great suggestion. We're already going to be tracking that data for a number of things. We don't want to talk about it just yet because we don't have it working, but we've got some really neat things lined up in terms of what hardcore characters do or solo SelfFound characters do, and how those things will interplay with one another. But in terms of what mobs do we think would be the most lethal to hardcore players, it's going to be mobs that people forget certain mechanics exist. And they're going to get so used to, I'm crushing everything. I'm going through everything. Everything's easy. I don't really have to worry about dying. And then they hit that one mob where it's like, oh, I forgot that it stuns like this. I forgot that it silences. I forgot that it dispels. And it's just going to be, it's going to be something like that for sure.
Emperor Syrah, Nagafen or Vox, and probably Burtox in time are probably going to be some of the most lethal.
I think random trash in Mistmore Castle is probably going to get the most kills.
Yes. Yeah. People trying to power level themselves. All right, let's see here. The Hurricane. What is a class combo that Wonder be nerfed for the least a month? So I can roll early and nag Stoic for things pre-patch. Thanks. Love what you do and add New Zealand accent to Reyna's characters. Thanks. Listen, Hurricane is a special needs student, and I wanted to read that off because I didn't want him to feel bad for not including him. But
thank you for the question, Hurricane.
We love him.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, he ate too many crayons when he was in the military, and it really did some harsh brain damage stuff. Foliac says, is the THJ honeymoon over? New users refusing to search for answers in the wiki Discord, asking the same what is meta questions, users unwilling to check out classes discussion thread when directed to them.
No. So what's that?
Nothing.
Oh. So we've always had that, right? Like unfortunately, there are players that will come and go, and those are the ones that are unwilling to look at any of the wonderful resources that have been created for us, by us. And that's just a part of it, right? I honestly, I check almost every channel every day, and I'm still very happy with the interactions that we get from most people, because our stream team and all of our wonderful content creators are getting us out there. We definitely have an influx of players that are not of the same mindset as the players that came on board initially. But overall, I'm pretty happy with how they're interacting.
I just want to say,
right, Paradox Bruce? That's exactly correct.
You answered that question really freaking well.
Thank you.
I'm going to skip the first half of this question since it's just asking me to ask this question. But I would like to do tinkering, alchemy, rogue, poisons, etc. on one character rather than having to switch back and forth to pass items via the bank. So they're asking to have all the trade skills that are typically blocked to either gnome or
a gnomish
rogue.
shaman rogue can do all of those trade skills. What's the problem?
That's fair.
Gnomish, shaman, rogue, enchanter, right? And then you have all the things you need.
Yep.
And unironically, pretty solid combo.
Yeah, actually, especially soon.
Yep.
Nerd Navigator, I love how much you guys are invested in your social media impact, looking specifically with Twitch and the fun things that you do for streamers and their communities, such as titles and the like. I was wondering if there has been thought to a Twitch integration between chat and in-game. The thought of chat voting to spawn a horde wave of mobs and other events on Keston or Coffee, should they opt into using it, as their hardcore solo SelfFound, gives me such brain tickles.
Yes.
Nerd, I hate you.
We've talked about that a lot. It's definitely something we want to do. I would say it's just a matter of time.
Listen, first of all, you're never going to be able to kill Keston with spawning anything because Keston's going to kill Keston on his own. Okay. It's just one of the things that's going to happen. Okay. This was a Discord one. Follow up to the poison ingredients question, which is about getting all of the ingredients put in the bazaar. What I meant was, can we make upwards of level 70 anger poisons currently, but only like level 35 sloth poisons? Haven't looked into the others. That's why I asked about the possibility of higher level ingredients being added to the bazaar vendors for the other poisons to bring them up to anger lines.
So one thing our team is lacking right now is someone who is particularly interested and motivated on trade skills.
And additionally to that, when it comes to those types of poisons, it was actually a balanced decision at a different point on what ranks of what poisons should be available. Because if we actually put up to level 70 of the other poisons, the value of rogue just continues to increase to a point that might be unhealthy.
Boy. Roland wins. Do you have any plans, thoughts about adding class combo specific AAs to help increase build diversity for some of the lesser played classes? Also, how many are there? Any combos that have had 0 players even log in as that combo?
No.
All combos have been created. Not all combos have reached level 65.
All combos.
Go ahead.
I was going to say all combos have hit level 60, but not 65, right?
I don't know. Off the top of my head, I can query it real quick if you want.
I'm pretty sure we did. But furthermore, so there aren't. It's really interesting. So we actually talked about this either last stream or the one before. When it comes to what classes are played or not played, they're all actually played pretty evenly. Within, I think the biggest diversions was what 6% between the least and the most.
Yeah,
So
the I'll say that the classes are picked relatively evenly, but there are combos that have not been explored at high level. So anyone saying that like there's a solved meta here is wrong. When something like 20% of the class combos literally haven't been tried, then yeah.
Hey, real quick, Broken. The question that is fourth down from the top currently, let's go ahead and delete that.
This one?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ogre Castile, 4 buffs that have increased effective casting level by X. Can you take a moment to explain exactly what that does and doesn't affect? Like, does it affect Charm Break?
I think it literally only affects fizzle rate right now. That's been on my to-do list to look into making it a little bit better, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Cool. Real quick one. Nerd Navigator says, thank you for fixing my Glammy's cat. I really appreciate you. First, sorry for commenting on things I saw in the repo. That was rude, and I wanted to apologize. That said, holy smokes, the patch note looks amazing. Could you elaborate a bit on the Necropotence changes? Thanks again.
I don't actually remember the Necropotence changes. This patch is big. Oh, right. So Necropotence and Shadow Curse, there was a little bit of sleight of hand going on in their initial implementation. When they triggered, they would just find a corpse nearby and reanimate that. Now they actually reanimate the corpse of the thing you killed. Also, they don't charm and fear and blind and whatnot anymore.
So you did away with me having 7 Ralos X?
Correct.
This is sad. It's a sad day. But in other news, guys, you also are losing out on me getting ping-ponged through the 3 stories of Vexthal when everything's being feared everywhere. SJCell says, will the debuff timer also work on pets? If so, will we be able to rebuff them if it's a buff we'd prefer to get back on instantly, such as Scarecrow for the proc? So I think he's referring to the dispel debuff.
Yeah. Aporia, do you want to handle this one or do you want me to answer it?
Oh, well, I honestly, I would prefer if you did, because I think I told you how I felt about this particular feature,
Sure.
and I don't know if we actually agreed.
Okay. So yes, it does work on pets. Your pets will get get buffs suspended rather than getting buffs removed. This change is something. So you cannot rebuff a buff that is currently blocked by being suppressed. Dispel, I think most of us can agree. Dispel is a mechanic that was basically annoying more than dangerous. This moves it into being a mechanic that's potentially dangerous but not annoying.
Keston and Ogre both brought up a really interesting comment where they said, how would this affect Charm? Because on a charmed pet, Charm is a...
Charm is excluded from being able to be removed in that way.
What about debuffs? So if I cast Cripple, Slow, etc., and something debuffs itself with Dispel?
So it would not... I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure exactly what would happen in that circumstance. So there are 3 different dispel opcodes. One of them just indiscriminately removes things. One removes only beneficial. One removes only detrimental. Whether a buff is removed or suppressed depends on who is casting the dispel, what the specific opcode used in the dispel is, and what the target is, whether it's a pet of a player or an NPC.
Okay. So we are actually rolling 30 seconds into an ad here, and then after we get that ad, we won't have any more ads for the rest of the stream. So yeah, good time to take a little pausey, boy.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back after the ads.
Mm-hmm. And my dog is barking in the back.
Well, it's about tree fitting.
Ad. Yeah, all you guys over there. Ooh, Rern Smash. Thank you so much for the gifted subby, boys. Thank you so much. Holy cow, 30 gifts in total. You are a sexy beast, you. 5 ad-free enjoyers. There you go. Tons of follows and more subscriptions coming through. I really do appreciate it. And of course, all you guys over on YouTube who don't get any ads. Sexy little beasts.
Enjoy your stay.
I don't know, man. You guys have really pulled out the stops with this patch. I love, there's so many different things headed in so many different directions that I really feel like, you know, people didn't really expect, people didn't really see coming. So I do think that it's exciting.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out.
Not to mention, like, you guys covered the amount of ground. Like, I don't know exactly how much work happened on the back end other than to say that it's a lot. But like the amount of ground you covered in such a short amount of time is nuts. There's so many different things where like the pokers, I mean, one of those things, I'm not going to say what it was, but like one of those things came out, what, like, you know, was recommended like a matter of days ago, and like, boom, out.
Which thing?
The offhand thing.
Oh yeah.
And then the dispel thing, how long did it take you to do that?
So I can credit most of the work on that to Zimp. It came out of some experimental stuff with Dungeon Finder work, actually. And I saw the prototype of it, and I asked him to adapt it to be suitable for replacing like just normal dispels. And then we iterated on that together, and then I added a little bit of custom client work to let the tooltips work correctly so that you could see what had been dispelled. It's been in the wings for a few weeks now.
Yeah, well, I remember you talking about wanting to do something like this like months ago when we were on the static group and we went to Plane of Fear.
Exactly. I saw I saw the prototype of it, and I'm like, hey, this is exactly what I wanted to do, but hadn't found the time to get done. So we rolled with it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Man, that's great. The freaking, I mean, I honestly didn't expect the Necropotence and the Shadow Curse stuff to get fixed quite as quickly or to get adjusted quite as quickly. I figured we were going to get play modes out, and then we were going to start to see some of that other stuff start to trickle in.
Well, I've been primarily working on play modes this last cycle, which is why I've been primarily working on play modes this last cycle. But yeah, it was good to get off topic a little bit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you guys got there's so much coming in the upcoming months. Like, speaking of that, and actually, I'll probably wait for Aporia to get back. was going to ask if we have anything we want to share about like the 4th of July event.
Earnest disciple.
I don't know, to be honest.
Sorry, I had my mic muted.
No, you're
Are we
good.
back
Man.
from ads?
We are back
back
from
from
ads.
ads.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So 4th of July event, no, we're not going to share anything about it just yet. We've got this coming out tonight, and then the rest of everything for play modes. 4th of July, just to temper expectations, 4th of July is probably not going to be a massive event, but we are going to try to make it fun.
The timing on 4th of July is just pretty unfortunate for a lot of the team.
Hell yeah. All right. Brandler777 says, "Hi all, I absolutely love the server. It's amazing. I am sad about the heroic strength nerf, but it had to happen. Can you please clarify how much the diminishing returns is, and can you tell us, is the heroic dex change adding damage to bows? Is it a straight up 1% per 1 heroic dex, or does it also get the same or different diminishing returns over 100 dex? You are all amazing. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great weekend."
Sure. There was a lot there. So heroic strength needed a bit of a nerf. The majority of people will not see the nerf because it really only starts impacting over about 100 heroic strength. And it is on a curve. So the more you get, the less effective it is. And heroic dex operates in a similar fashion, right? So you do get a scaling percent bonus based on heroic dex. It does have a similar scaling method, only it scales, I think, 1/4 of what heroic strength does on average. So I think that gets you like a kind of an overview of it. I know Castle's in chat and has like a huge specific explanation, but that's about the gist of it.
Cool. With the advent of possible 100 hands effects on multiple melee classes, is it possible to add similar effects for dots, a 100 dots effect? For example, for each dot on a target, can we get a 10% dot tick rate increase to cap? Thanks for all the hard work.
So technically, probably, but that's not what we would want to do with that. So if dots need some extra love, it's either going to be additional class specific type things. We have talked about increasing the damage of dots per every dot that's on there, but at the moment there are no specific plans for additional changes to dots right now.
Yeah, and just to be clear, there's a couple of people who are talking about the heroic strength stuff. So 100 heroic strength is just where you start to see diminishing returns. It's not like that's a massive jump back. It's just that's where the scaling starts. It's it's not.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you're not hitting a brick wall. It's just
we keep doing this. I apologize.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
It's a linear decay function, so it doesn't immediately like drop to a lower, like a substantially lower value right away. It decays toward a lower value.
So to give you some solid numbers, right? So people that were sitting around 250 heroic strength, we're seeing somewhere around a 19% reduction in DPS from that heroic strength. So it really was less of a change for today and more of a change for what we're going to be seeing coming into GOD and Omens and DON, that if we didn't put this reduction scaling in, things would just get absolutely silly as we continue to get more.
Yeah, makes sense. I do want to just say, guys, I'm going to let you guys continue to submit questions for 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to turn the questions off. We have quite a few questions already, and there's an hour left. So I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to have their question answered. Prolin asks, can we get a waypoint in Acrylia Caverns? It's a fair hike to get there every time I go.
Sure.
Ooh, nice. I like that one. Comma 77TW says, are Grandmaster summon bags supposed to go away after log out? I figured they would obey the rules of other summon bags.
They do. You don't have a way to summon a Grandmaster summon bag in your spellbook, so they go away. They obey exactly the same rules. That said, there is a quest to get one of them as a permanent bag with more slots that you can do with the gnome.
Ooh. Yeah, no. Just wanted to say I appreciate all the folks you do. With that said, any chance that classes with heals can get an AA heal that levels with the character, kind of like Harm Touch AA?
I mean, paladins get lay on hands, and that's about what they're going to get.
Isn't that called a healing spell? You get better ones as you level up?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
Zero Time says, what does the new dot chance crit do exactly?
Subscriber arrives.
Sure. So it functions the same way that the wizard's innate chance to crit is. And let me explain. So when I say innate, I mean it comes with the wizard. Okay. You're not going to see it on your character sheet, and it doesn't function the exact same way. What it is every single time a dot ticks, okay, if it does not crit with your dot crit chance, there is an innate chance to crit after that. So think about it as like a second roll of crit if it does not crit the first time. And that is I believe, 7% chance? 12? Something like that. But basically, you're not going to see it on your stat sheet, and it's basically another chance to crit, which is incredible.
All right, I just gotta point out that Bro Chill over on YouTube came up with a wonderful idea. Just change the bunnies from the Easter event into bald eagles and give them all like melee power ups. I love it. I love it. Turtle Dragoon says, hi guys, I love the server and everything you guys do. We know that Modes is dropping the 20th or most likely the 27th. What kind of bribe do we need for the 20th for sure?
It is going to be the 27th for sure, as per the announcement.
C. Goodman asks, Kata and Aporia, please give us your opinion, the best idea, concept, implementation the other has come up with or done. Ooh, I like this one.
Wow.
We're in like
That's
marriage counseling.
Kat is going to struggle to come up with a single one, and I'm over here thinking of like, which one do I pick? I mean, I know this is going to be kind of like, well, duh, but just the way that he made multi-classing work here and the number of hurdles that had to be overcome in order to have a good UX around it, I think that'll be the biggest thing. Because so Kata had, lots of different ways to do different things, and on this particular function, multi-classing, he continued to listen to feedback and just continued to iterate on what would be a better user experience, instead of necessarily what would be technically correct or best. And I think it came out just incredible.
Well, there was a pretty strong alignment between what was technically correct and what was the best user experience. So, I think. So I can't point to a particular thing. In this, I don't know. Maybe this will come off as a little bit of a cop out, but THJ, the overall feel of gameplay on THJ is built on retribution, rather than like PQ. and that's for a reason, because it's it, and that's all Aporia's work, rather than mine.
No, thank you, Kata. I appreciate you. That was kind. Whoever asked that question, high five, because I think that might be the first time Kata publicly gave me a compliment.
That's
nice.
C. Goodman 381.
True. I don't think that's true, but okay.
Now kiss.
I heard a really interesting song in a Discord DM recently.
Oh goodness, can we not? Next.
I'm not going to. Oh no. You know the one I'm talking about, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Well, I thought it was funny. What do you mean? Timex Play asks, Vexar loot is nerfed on THJ. Too strong for era, ? Is it possible to have a DZ where Vexar gets the full THJ legendary treatment? Maybe a Vexar B when Lucklin is unlocked or something.
Probably not.
Probably not. But we've talked about this before. I would personally be okay with that, but it's really having the hands to do it, right? Because while it's a neat thing, it's not something that would actually be that impactful or probably even sought after. But yeah, so probably not. But yes, it got nerfed because it was too strong for the era.
The tried and true, my favorite, but very simple. Thugomancer says, how can someone volunteer to THJ?
Sure. So the best way, right? So at this point, we've got, like I said before, we've got about 18 core team members and we've got about 31 volunteers. The way to become an official volunteer for THJ is to just be the best human you can be when interacting with other people. So like if you have a desire to be on the CST team, like be in the new player channel, be in bug reports, be in general, be kind to people, give links to things, answer questions. Show us that you can do what we would hope a CST member would do. If you want to contribute code, our repo is public. Look through the bug forums, find a bug, PR a bug fix. If you want to, help with graphics or this or that, whatever you want to volunteer to do, just do it. Like none of us are ever going to get mad about you doing something to help us. And if you can actually do it to a high degree of success, we would love to have you, volunteer.
Drisner asks, is it intended for Ranger Flaming Arrows AA dot, not proccing Shamanistic Tongues? Bug report preemptively made.
Offhand, I don't know.
I mean, I think it all dots should proc it. I don't know why it wouldn't.
They have to cost mana.
I think it does cost
mana. They have to cost mana. And they have to actually. Yeah, I don't remember enough about those specific abilities to make a guess as to what might be what might be the problem, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
Yeah, it's procced, not casted. That's probably
the issue then.
Yeah.
HD Dean says, Cata familiar when?
I don't know what that means.
We want a familiar that's of you.
Thomas the Train or a frog?
Yes. But, the frog will be the lower tier one, but the Thomas the Train one will be the, whatever, for achieving everything that event. Yes, Cata?
Nope.
Lokar says, will dispelling enemies only suppress their buffs, or will it actually remove theirs?
It will actually remove theirs.
Kashari says, y'all are still awesome. What are your favorite Epic 1.0s?
The quest for the item.
Ooh, let's do both.
Pick.
Let's do
Answer
both.
it however you want.
Yeah, let's do both.
Well, for me, the answer is the same for both. It's the Mage Epic.
Of course it is.
And
I
Corey's
have
wielding
always
his.
been I've always been a fan of the SK Epic, even like when I was 13 years old and I was 13 years old running around. Dude, it looks so awesome. Like that was isn't it the first item that had that type of graphic?
Yes.
Like it's just so cool.
What was the first one? You're talking about the like crystal see-through blade part, right?
Yep.
Well, the first particle weapon is actually the torch.
I get out.
Shaggy Grant says, to go along with my rabid bear question last week, Aporia had mentioned you guys discussing stacking 100 hands up to 50% so Monk isn't a required pick for melees. And a few weeks back, there was a discussion about making SK the de facto two-hand tank since War and Pal have shield spec. Just a possible idea suggestion, maybe a 25% 100 hands for SKs when they have a two-hander equipped.
That is actually a pretty dope idea. I can say this: we've discussed several times giving different classes access to 100 hands and allowing 100 hands to stack up to 50%. That is something that I think I probably do want to see. What classes and in what ways? Have not decided that yet. The reality is that there are so many things that we want to change and so many things that we want to address that there's just only so much time. But that was a really good suggestion.
Alternatively, and hear me out here, nerf monks.
I was actually going to delete this one, but in spirit of that right there, Kata, in Broken Stream yesterday, Kata was confirming after housing and PvP that Rangers were getting an overhaste quiver. Will they still be getting love beyond that? Maybe stronger hots to play into that hybrid theme?
I publicly disavow anything that Kata says while I am not present, and half of what he says when I am.
I don't even. Y'all say I'm drinking too much.
Good times, good times. Let's get another little funny boy here. Westmort40 asks, can we remove the root mechanic off the tree illusion? It would be hilarious to make everyone run around as a tree.
Nope.
Oh,
making the real suggestions. I would.
Oh my lord. Can you imagine like open zones where everybody's running around as a tree? You remember when like you used to be in a zone and like the tree roots would come down and through the floor? Or like the tree would come up through it?
Event.
Oh, dude. Yeah. We know what needs to happen next 4th of July. Come on. Or not 4th of July. April Fool's Day.
Arbor Day?
Arbor Day. Yes. Arbor Day. Perfect. 0 Times asks, will the Mage Epic still be useful in Gates of Discord?
I hope not.
It is.
I think we should have an offline conversation about that.
Oh, Lord, this is like the 80th time we've talked about this. Okay, we'll have an offline conversation about it. It will be.
Throw that thing in the garbage.
It's very frustrating to me that the Mage Epic is the only epic that like actually is useful after pop or so. But yeah, we'll talk.
And on that note, you guys answered this earlier, but maybe not everybody was here. Can we get another XP boost for all us dads for Father's Day? Please.
Sure.
Not necessarily for dads for Father's Day, but because we're launching our incredible new mini character slots and sets, we will be kicking off an XP bonus. So huzzah to dads, to moms, to others.
What's wrong
Enjoy
with
that
Father's
XP.
Day?
What's that?
What's wrong with Father's Day?
Nothing. I said not just.
Mm.
I'm gonna ask this one too. Will we ever see personas, or would that be too difficult? Renaming AoE loot to loot NATO.
So I've literally done I've literally done personas before. It's just not an interesting mechanic.
Could you, like, doing personas on a multi-class system though? Would that be like absolute? I mean, we already have spaghetti code, but like I can't even imagine what that would look like.
It's fine. It's just partitioning off the data into different segments. Not a big deal.
Yeah, and the real thing there though is that we really like people making alts, hence why you're getting more character slots and not personas. And additionally to that, we've talked a little bit about it before, but as solo SelfFound progresses and we get into seasonal play, there's a question that popped up that I don't think they asked correctly, about whether or not we could get some type of prestige mechanic. And I think that is going to play really well into solo SelfFound. So being able to prestige, start over from level 1, get some type of bonus for doing that, and then having to pick a different class combination than what you picked.
Yeah. I'm really excited about implementing a prestige system. I'm willing to go out on a limb and say it's probably like very close to certainly going to happen, but TBD on when and TBD on implementation details.
Yeah. But that's that. If you want to talk about like a new announcement, like after everything we've already have planned, that's going to be a thing for sure.
Wow. And in spirit of that, I'll delete this one. Okay. Holy smokes, dude. Prestige mode. Wesker coming in with 10 gifted. Woo.
Yep.
Bro. Honestly, prestige mode sounds awesome. Like yes, please.
So let's just go grandiose with it, right? Like think of all the crazy and wonderful things. So we've already talked about the fact that we want to do an achievement system, right? And we already talked about there might be bonuses tied to that achievement system. So let's say that the achievement system gives you rewards for doing, certain types of kills or certain specific things in certain steps, and now you've accomplished that as this class combo. Well, now you can prestige and you've officially like done it for that class combo, but now there's 559 other class combos for you to try that with and different things to get for doing it. So
Tickle fights, I highly encourage you to ask that question next Q&A, but ask it earlier before questions close.
Yeah,
I want to answer that question.
It is actually already been asked to previous Q&As.
So you know how I do that thing where like I answer a question that's been asked before completely differently? Yeah.
Oh, good God. Okay, heaven help us all. Obibian Jovi says, I love that you added the enchanted bars to the bazaar. Is there a way they can also make the vials of mana for things like fleeting quiver, etc.?
Oh, okay. Obi Bon Jovi. Awesome name. Great name. Obi Bon Jovi. Okay. Yes. And so I asked last stream for a list of those items that we need to get out there before solo SelfFound starts. So if you don't mind getting together a list of those items and getting them to us, that would be fantastic.
I think the plan is to have an NPC or a thing that can provide you those items if you're in SelfFound.
We already the first one I think launched today, courtesy Convection.
Yeah, it doesn't work only for SelfFound mode because the obviously the script hooks don't exist for that yet. But I think the plan is to limit them to SelfFound characters only.
Yes.
So.
Mortac80 asks, can you further define what you mean by wizard inherent spells in the patch notes? Does this account for anything while playing a wizard or even procs, or does it only affect wizard spells in specific?
I think that's either a misreading of the patch note or a typo in the patch note. It's that wizards inherently have a chance to crit any spells they cast. So the way that the wizard and now necro ones work is they have a roll to see if it crits, and then if they fail that roll because they're a wizard or a necromancer for dots, they have an additional chance to crit.
I missed again. 151 says a few times Aporia has said that heroic int affects spell power, but the wiki says that function has been disabled. Is the wiki wrong?
That's a funny story. The wiki's wrong.
Fun fact, feel free to make suggestions on updating the wiki.
There you go. This is kind of related to exactly what you're talking about. Will Necro Inherent Crit also print a message similar to the Wiz Crit, or was that not done because it might be too spammy?
Yeah, we actually added messages for dot crits recently, and the Necro one has a unique flavor text for when it crits as the inherent Necro crit. I don't remember what it is offhand, but yeah, it's there.
Will there be class changes, free class changes, AA changes, cooldowns, resets for this patch?
I don't know. Are there?
Sorry, I I had someone pop in my room. What was that? One more time?
Are we resetting the free? Are we doing free class resets with this patch?
Oh, yeah, why not? I think that sounds great.
Sure, no problem.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of, you know what time it is? Time to start the timer.
Oh, is it really?
Ooh.
Hang on. Oh, it is. Are you going to start it?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Awesome.
Do, 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 do. Any previews for game mode bonuses? Getting very excited for it.
Not yet, but the bonuses will be there. Assume something to do with XP, something to do with loot, something to do with achievements. So they might not all be in immediately, but there will be some bonus immediately available. But we want to make sure the core system functions correctly before we tie too much to it.
Nice. Toll asks, any considerations for rewards for full clearing non-respawning LZs? Would be cool to have incentives to revisit and clear all old zones for titles, glamours, weak AAs, increase damage to undead for clearing befallen.
I would love to do that. It's a bandwidth issue right now.
Yeah. Yep. And honestly, it ties in perfectly with solo SelfFound mode. Additionally, Dungeon Finder. So
it is a really cool idea. Terrible Yoda says, my girlfriend thinks I'm playing too much. Can we get a patch to fix her? Also, it seems like I can't shrink my enchanter pet, normal or when it's illusioned. Is that just me, or is it a limitation on the pet design?
Shrink is a wonky mechanic. There's some problems there.
Also, your girlfriend thinking that you play too much just means that she likes you enough to want to spend more time with you. So good on you.
You should get her to play a healer for you.
Let's see here. Is there any limit to the amount of swarm pets from Necro and SK? I have a Necro build that currently gets what appears to be about 30 or so swarm pets according to tracking when farming XP. Wondering if adding SK will truly get me more pets.
There is no limit.
There is no spoon.
Good God, we found that out the hard way. I pulled all of Umbral Plains and let's just say I was standing amongst a giant freaking army of undead, Netherubians, and all kinds of other weird stuff.
I thought we had capped it at 15 and 15, but YOLO.
So there's just been like this misunderstanding. There's a limit on how many swarm pets could be spawned by a single SPA at a single time of 12. It's not a limit on the number of swarm pets you can have in general. If you'd like me to implement a limit, I can. Like, I just didn't.
Well, not today.
Let's see. On the same note here, we've got Jasper 8282 question about SK Swarm Pets. What is the maximum number we can have? Also, do SK and Necro have the same chance to spawn them?
There is no limit. There's no maximum, and no, they don't have the same chance, but they do stack.
Ooh, they don't have the same chance, but they do stack. Genius. Cadavery says, what are the chances that one day rogues will be able to backstab with a ranged weapon?
Pretty minimal. Ranged attacks are technically skill attacks, in the same way that backstabs are. So trying to like combine them together would be weird. I guess we could make just backstab work with a ranged weapon if we really wanted to, but
No,
it just doesn't seem
that's
like
okay.
Like
Some synergy just doesn't need to be forced.
No.
Zero Time says, will we ever get the ability to dye armor, Glamour? That is in the form of a regular armor, i.e. leather, plate, etc. Currently, it will bug out and dye it whatever your armor is, but reset when you zone.
No, it's intentional. Armor glamours are the color of whatever you created them from. That's how they work.
Makes sense. Any reason some heal overtime spells like Nature's Recovery as Druid last forever, but Celestial Elixir as a Cleric you always need to recast? Fluffy Happy 87 asks.
The ones that last forever are a bug and should be reported.
I think forever is hyperbole.
No, I think that there's some that don't go into short buff for some reason, and those literally get suspended.
Oh. Well, there you go.
If it
and Quiescence were like that before I fixed them.
Yeah, if it makes you feel any better, Broheim was testing this actually the other day, trying to identify which heals were doing that.
Yeah, those are all bugs.
Yep.
There is an EOM bounty for reporting them if you want to like defect in the prisoner's dilemma there.
Ooh, go get that EOM, folks. Riv This says, I love the change to Ione, picking all three classes as random. Can there be an option to do it the old way? Sometimes I only want one class, not all random.
No.
Fair.
Okay.
Mostly because it's going to be an irrelevant consideration relatively soon.
And some of these are wild. Two Fingers to Kill Ya. When are you going to add hand crossbows to the game so Rangers can dual wield them?
Nope.
That was actually hidden in this patch. See if you can find them.
They're off a really obscure mob in a corner somewhere in a zone no one visits. Xenofall says, can we get individual class channels on Discord? It feels bad hijacking random combo class theory crafting sections for questions about individual classes.
So that's a tough thing, right? Is that it's gonna get really cluttered, and it feels weird to have 560 different threads. There's a better solution out there. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Zed Slayer Z69 says, would you ever allow boxing on THJ using something like bizarre IP restrictions to limit it to 2 characters to create a full 6-class party?
No.
Locks in Darkness. Is it possible to make bard buffs persistent after zoning?
Nope. Well, yes, but no.
Yowie Wowie 14. How likely is it to get a combine all for crafting with Gates of Discard and Omens of War eventually coming? Some epic 1.5s 2.0 quests require a fair bit of overall crafting in multiple different trade skills.
So we've said it before. We would love to have someone that's focused on trade skills. That's just not something that we're focused on right now.
What is the focus on trade skills that you are looking for? So like, are you looking for someone to like sit down and code all of the trade skill stuff, or like people who are very knowledgeable in all the trade skill stuff?
All of the above. We at this point in time, the only people that we really would love to like recruit onto the team are people that have both the skill set and the knowledge and the time to do these things. If there's a significant amount of hand holding that has to be done, unfortunately, that doesn't actually really help us because we end up having to spend our time doing it anyways.
Locks in Darkness says, any chance we can give Rangers a favored enemy versus summoned? Also expand the Paladin to get benefits versus demons and imp types?
That question went away too fast for me to...
Any chance we can give Rangers a favored enemy versus summoned? Also expand Paladins to also get benefits versus demons and imp types?
Oh no, those things don't need to be expanded.
Zegzag asks, Berserker AA Cascading Rage currently is getting cured as a detrimental debuff when using the Purification Radiant Cure like of AAs. I have to put in a bug report for it and linked a few others that have as well in my post, but not sure any traction has been made on whether or not it's able to be adjusted. Anything else I could do to help make awareness for this as a possible bug? Thank y'all for what you do.
I mean, thanks for telling us about it. I genuinely appreciate that. I think that's really just having the bandwidth to sit down and do it. Typically speaking, when a number of threads are created on the same thing, we escalate it and we get it looked at / taken care of. But because we have so many things that we're looking at and changing right now, it probably just has gotten missed. But does the sound of excluding a spell ID from dispel make sense, Kata?
It just needs to be marked as not a detrimental.
Fair enough.
I think that's one that could be pretty easily followed up on.
Nice.
Awesome. So anyone that's listening that's making notes for us, please.
Papa Poe asks, I know this has been brought up before, but have you thought any more about removing the summoning ability on mobs?
No, so where summon is at right now, it feels pretty good. Having that forced 10-second delay between summons allows summon to still be something that, you know, is feared / some type of difficulty while not being so incredibly overbearing. Pretty happy with where it's at right now.
I need to step away for just a moment. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sure.
Isops, would it be possible to add a feature to tell a person in OOC by left clicking the name like you can already report as spam or report as not spam?
I'm assuming yes. Make it a suggestion. I can tell you that's not going to be something that gets done quickly, but probably doable.
Here's a good question for you. Windy Whitewind says, I'm pretty sure I know why hesitant to make Necropets pet bags bigger, but they were one of the 2 original pet classes in EQ, and it doesn't seem right that the mage pet is so significantly ahead of it. Would there ever be consideration to increasing its bag slots, even if it's just 2? I got frustrated recently on my Necro Enchanter Wizard, knowing my Necro pet could never tank like the mage, and feeling like I would need to swap a class out for mage or a tank in order to do things.
Well, that's an interesting question. So thinking back to like where we draw inspiration from, right? So the only pet really being used to tank things in general has been the mage pet. The necro pet has never really been known for being tanky. Not to say that it couldn't be or that we can't add slots. It's just where my head's at, like where necro falls in a pick for a build. There's a lot of other things that necro brings to the table that mage does not. And I dare say that mage is really only picked for their pet, to where necro has a number of reasons to pick and in different builds. So maybe that's a good way to look at it, is that it doesn't necessarily satisfy that role because it satisfies others. But that's not to say it can't change in the future.
Raven Lunatic says, any chance of getting an AA that increases the size of AoE range?
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Andy the Bruce says, will server buffs be blocked for solo SelfFound?
So no. But Kata is looking into something that you can opt in or out of if you don't want it to affect you. But it's server wide buff for a reason, and in a lot of cases we've accounted for the fact that those buffs are basically going to be on. And it would really change the balance of the early game an awful lot, and I think it would damage the experience on certain lesser picked class combos, and we don't really want to do that. So as of right now, world buffs will affect all modes.
Okay. Any chance we could get most levitate buffs to stop being stripped when entering dungeons? DMF, for example, doesn't. I think because it also offers other beneficial buffs that stop it from being stripped. Maybe adding +1 cold resist to most forms of levitate could fix it easily. So my DMF does get stripped when I enter a zone that doesn't allow levitate. So I don't know.
Yeah, no levitate should persist in a zone that doesn't allow it.
Yeah. Let's see. Hebris Delore says, I'm sure Epic 2.0s are still a long ways out, but is there any chance the Ranger 2.0 might be redesigned as a bow?
Yes, there is a chance that will happen.
Kashari says, Donald's arm plates of mourning don't have a glamour, but the rest of the set does. Learning this after syncing the 30k plat into the rest of the set, is there a chance of a fix? There's an old bug report, but nothing recent.
That's interesting. I mean, it definitely should. I'm not sure why it doesn't, but that's just one of those things where it's so low on the totem pole. Maybe one of the volunteers that are listening right now can look at that and come up with a fix, but it's just a little lower on the priority list.
Salty Tears says, any appetite for bards to get access to Steadfast Will AA?
Currently, no.
Jake W says, do we expect necro crits to make Don's builds on par with the more viable ones?
I don't necessarily know what that means. What's more viable than dot? Like I guess I'm missing a part of the question. So are we saying that necro dots are not viable? Because some of the craziest dot builds that I've seen rely on poison dots that come from necros.
Yeah. Might be a lack of scope. Yeah, they're basically articulating that dots don't do enough damage. Dorks31 says, thinking of the bees AA, I report a possible bug with bees proccing itself or the shaman's shamanistic tongue. Was wondering if it's intentional for it not to work or just a bug in the process of being squished.
I think bees procking bees is correct and flavorful. So
is bees proccing shamanistic tongue or cascading darkness intentional? It doesn't currently.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, so that's a good one. So that I think that goes back into why the Ranger damage over time procs aren't procking it either. I think procs currently can't proc those AAs.
Correct.
But I could see that being changed, and it probably should.
Note taker. Burn Smash says, if you were asked to pick one favorite change going out in this patch, would you be able to settle on just one?
Probably. I mean, for me, so looking at this as a player, I won't answer this as a dev. As a player, I am really excited about having more character slots. I think, I mean, that is something when I first tried to create a server, it's one of the first things that I wanted to do. I was like, oh, we need more character slots, and was told hard no everywhere. So I'm really excited about that one.
Hell yeah. Kraken Hunter 75 says, would it be possible to have an NPC MGB caster in the bazaar? We could say pay plat to cast buffs.
It's very possible, but no, we will not.
Yabo 75 says, as epics eventually fall to the wayside, would a quest line allowing you to convert the weapons to an augment, say an enchanter's apprentice, can help you to make an aug with just the ability, or you can help him have mini epic quests to have an aug with the full stats abilities to keep their epic relevant?
So I think that's kind of solved with 1.5s and 2.0s. There's just going to be that break point where they're not really as useful. We made changes to every epic to keep it somewhat useful, and I think most of them are, aside from 4. But the problem is when you start doing custom augs that have really great effects, is you can just basically add it to the total available power for that class, and then I have to start taking it into consideration for balance decisions, and it can get a little messy.
On the topic of epics, Omni Slayer says, with the implementation of Epic 2.0s, eventually, are you planning for them to be best in slot indefinitely or scale with further content releases?
So that's so far out. I honestly, whatever answer I gave you right now, I don't think would be correct. So that's going to be a wait and see.
Abro1986 says, what are heroic wisdom and heroic intelligent bonuses? The new patch says they apply to spell effects from AAs as well now. I didn't think they did anything outside of extra mana or a 1% bonus to detrimental beneficial spells per 100 heroic int or heroic wisdom, whatever that means.
I think it's 1% per 25, and I think it is on the wiki, but apparently that might be wrong. But I think it's 1% per 25. It's not meant to be a huge thing, but it is there.
Ether Bunny, can we make hide corpse states persistent between logins and crashes?
That would be a Kata question, and he is not here.
Go away there. Bard question. So we have a couple of like repeat questions here. And my God. Was it ever decided? Comma 77. Did anyone ever follow up with a list of what is needed for vendors, drops for items needed for epics from other players?
I don't know what this is in reference to.
So the epics from like 1.5s and like the quests and stuff that are going to require trade skills. You had mentioned that certain things may be available.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, comma. So Convection is in chat right now. He actually has a running list going. If you have any suggestions or any that you think might not be there, go ahead and reach out to him directly. Convection, thanks so much for being here and doing that, man. I appreciate it.
Ninja Dragon 907. Sorry if this has been asked already, but can we please have our glamours show up at the character select screen? P.S. I love the server and what y'all are brewing. 12-year-old me can't rejoice enough being able to do content I could never do a quarter of a century ago. Big love for all y'all.
Yeah, I need to fix that.
Thanks.
Wait,
you can actually fix that?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I can just,
wow,
hot.
You come back in just such a wonderful way.
Yeah. Oh man. Jesus.
Sorry, I slipped out.
Darthrax the Dark Elf asks, possible unpopular opinion, but I love the Buried Sea and Secrets of Fador expansions. Is there any chance THJ will get to those someday? Thanks for the best server ever.
Maybe. Probably not.
Wow. Well, he led with maybe. So interlocked verb.
I thought it was interlinked.
It is interlinked. It's even better. Interlocked.
Fat Man Loves Spaghetti says, would you be so kind as to enjoy some spaghetti in the near future? You deserve it.
I enjoy a spaghetti with a nice like Alfredo or cream or cheese sauce, but no tomatoes.
My wife makes the absolute most amazing tomato sauce from scratch, and
you see,
I can't wait for more.
No offense to your wife, but I know that's categorically impossible because there's no way for a tomato sauce to be good because it contains tomatoes.
Do you like ketchup?
So, do you see?
No, ketchup is disgusting
fights?
beyond words.
Someone, let me just be very clear. Someone with the name of Tickle Fights understands how insane what you just said is.
But I said it was perfectly rational and coherent. Tomatoes are disgusting beyond description.
I think this is your undoing.
This is why we can't allow him into the Q&As without you present. I understand now. It all makes sense.
This is it. This is actually what we're really
this is exactly
we're really concerned about.
Okay, there was a question.
Oh, hey, we've got 7 minutes until the server shuts down and we gotta go.
Ether Bunny says, can we make hide corpse states persistent between logins and crashes?
Probably not, but at some point I'll look into doing that. Or Voidless will. I know he's watching in chat somewhere. Hey, if you decide to do something weird and random, there you go.
EverQuest OG says, can you talk a little bit about traps, specifically disarm traps, and if that is working as intended, or there are any tweaks coming? As a rogue, sense trap works, but and is possible to skill up, but disarm traps does nothing. Specific examples are traps in Chardok, Syrah Temple. Thanks for all the work you do. Really enjoy the server.
I'm shocked that disarm trap works. I'm going to be honest with you, or that sense trap works. To be completely honest with you, I had no idea.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've literally never looked into making disarm traps work better.
I deleted the AAs for that because I assumed it just didn't work.
Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Gentle Jen says, with guild attempting to manage their own banks, items are stacking up. Sometimes multiple bank tunes are made, but it is still difficult. Is there a possibility of getting bigger bank only bags for guild banks or bringing guild hall banks online?
I'm gonna punt that one.
Fair. He's choosing not to answer because maybe not, and it's a big undertaking.
What I hear is more donations, guild banks. Let's do this.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not how it works.
Share to people outside of your guild.
Let's see here. Tickle Fights 1234. Will you disable Bazaar Portal or do something to Bazaar Portal for hardcore? You can just spam Feign Death and Portal to get out of 99% of any situation.
So I had some thoughts about that. Like Feign Death and like Fading Memories by themselves, like you don't even need the portal to deal with that. I want to do something there because I think that's cheesy, but I don't know exactly what the right way to do it is.
I think there's a right way to look at that, but at the same time, you know, I think that's always been a big thing that's a part of their kits, and you know,
you should go ahead and bring up that last question there. Okay.
Well, I was going to avoid that because you guys don't really have a lot of time left, so I'm trying to.
No, that was really easy. Go ahead and bring that one up.
Okay. Can we get a working preview window to see what items look like?
Congratulations. This is done for you already. It already works.
Tell them what command to use.
It's what like control right click or control.
Alt
I don't know.
right click.
There you go.
That was the best follow up to that ever. It's already there. Congratulations. Tell them how to do it. I don't know.
Roland Wins asks, follow up to the class combo AA question. Are there any plans to show the highest, lowest class combos on a weekly, monthly basis, perhaps on the website or in Discord? I love to play lesser looked at combos to see if I can find new strats for them. Thanks for answering my queue. Love the game.
I actually like the idea of sharing like some data on like low picks, but I don't want to share data on high picks.
And I agree with that. And I think, so hear me on this, and this is a bit out there. As we look to do rotating bonus Zems, rotating zone bonuses just in general, it would be kind of interesting if lesser picked classes got something as well. Like if they're in the bottom like 10% of picked class combos, maybe they get a certain something. I don't know. I think there's a lot that can be done in that space.
Yeah. Yeah. Those things.
Seawalk Homie wants to know, I didn't see it in the announcements, but are class lockout cooldowns being cleared for this patch?
Yeah.
Pause 1 second. Kata, would you mind getting on the thing?
Yeah, I'm already on the thing.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you.
Sandy Shammy says, I'm a bit of a newbie, so my questions may not have validity. First, can we have world events, such as what is found in Rift, where all players can get rewards and some good items for survivors? Secondly, while I know that the Bazaar button takes us back to the last place we have been, we sometimes forget where that was, or some things get messed up. Can the Bazaar button show where it will take us back to? Thank you. Keep up the good work.
I don't know. Kata, would a chat command be available to let players know where Bazaar and back will take them back to?
I mean, yeah, we could implement that too without too much trouble, but like, it's just going to be like an XYZ. Oh, you mean like where returning from Bazaar will take you, like which zone?
Yeah, or
Correct.
Yeah,
sure, no problem.
I think they used to use like /care and it would tell you like where your bind points are.
/care info it tells you where your bind points are. I can add it to that output for sure.
There you go. Cool.
Put it on my to-do list.
And as far as open world events like Rifts, I too love those. And we actually talked about having events that would rotate. The first thing that you're going to actually see events in is going to be the Dungeon Finder system. There will be random events in your Dungeon Finder system, in your hero's journey system.
Oh, journeys. Well, boys and girls, it is 9:30. We have 33 total questions left over.
That sucks.
Yes.
I'm just going to throw it out there. We answered, I think, almost over 100 questions tonight.
Yeah. It was.
And that's fantastic. So while we have everyone here and still have their attention, as always, thank you all for being here. Thank you for participating. Thank you for asking us questions. Thank you for being a part of the community and just taking a part in everything that we're doing. I'd like to take a minute to give a huge shout out to the core team, to the volunteers, to everyone that's contributed to the project, to all of our supporters, and any member of the community that has made this a better experience for someone else. That is what this is about. We're all here to enjoy this. We are here to make this the best experience it can be. And the only reason it works the way it does is because everyone wants the same thing. So thank you all for being here. Much love.